Fernando Alonso, from Philip Nasser, from Rossi, Alexander Rossi, Cadillac 10, Cadillac 31, Acura number 7. They'll pull into the acceleration lane on the pit lane in front of us. I feel we've been here before. 7:22 this morning and 12:39 this afternoon. The two red flags here at Daytona. 12:39. Write that down, Hindhoff, because it could become important. Now, before anybody asks, we've done more than half the race, so this is a race if it was called. I'm not preempting anything, I'm just informing you as our audience, both here at the track and further afield. We've also awarded all of the points for the Michelin Endurance Cup, because the last set of points there were awarded at 18 hours. So that's just, again, for information. Let's go down to the pit lane. Elton Julian has got a car that's leading LMP2, and it's in the top 6 overall. Bruce Jones is down there.
Elton, I just came down to Dragon Speed. We saw a new nose being fixed to the 18. We just had the red flag flown. For now, is that the right decision? It's getting wetter and wetter as far as I can see.
Well, I mean, if you look at the conditions right now, it's torrential. I mean, absolutely. Although, you know, it's entertaining.
Well, in its own way, yes.
But when you run a team and you own a team, it's not so entertaining. Look, they had an amazing race at the front. I'm watching Fernando and Nasser go at it. So, I mean, from one side of me, you know, I'm like, man, this is awesome. But the other side of it, it's like, there's a limit. It's banking. You come to a venue that has so much safety implemented and so many things they make you take care of, and then we race in these conditions. It's hard to understand what one is or the other. But you know what? It's red flag now. It's been a crazy second half to this race. We happen to miraculously survive that, and we're still leading our class. So, good. We're here now.
Now, apparently, the number 31 car I've just heard had a loose wheel. 81 has had a loose wheel on its outlap. Is that correct? Sorry, I'm getting a message in my ear.
No, that's not correct. We did not change wheels on that stop. They were in the middle of their second stint. We just threw Henrik in to finish his drive time. He had a minute and a half left. So it's a sheared upright, all by its lonesome. 2.5 hours to go.
Elton, I can see you, just like the air going out of a balloon, but you're still smiling, and you're not letting Pastor Maldonado get away. He's got a bit more racing, perhaps.
More to do. I mean, look, it's funny, you know, people, even within the team, they're like, oh, people always think there's preferences. There isn't. It's a team first, and I had a cushion. I could lose one bullet, and I've lost one. I have no more cushion. And immediately after that, the other guy buries it in the barrier. So I love Brent O'Neill, but I do not want to give him a Christmas present this big.
That's the way it goes. Thanks for keeping us entertained, Elton, as ever.
Fernando Alonso at the door of the safety car, having a chat with the safety car driver. So not a loose wheel then, a sheared upright. The shaking of the head of Fernando Alonso says all we need to know about what he thinks about the situation, but I'll temper that by saying he's leading the motor race. And if you're leading the motor race, then of course you want it stopped. I'm not saying that that's colouring his judgment, but if you're in second position and you're Philippe Nasser at the moment, you might want to go back to green again.
Oh man, Nasser is gonna be.
He had that.
Oh yeah, he had it. He just, but again, under unbelievable pressure.
You know what I said? Nobody in GTD wants to win the race. Passing under yellow, car 11, the GTD leader. The number 11 Lamborghini under review. Well, there's not really much wiggle room there. It's either a pass under yellow or it isn't. Let's see what happens with that. That would re-promote Daniel Morad to the lead if any penalty was applied.
The guy I feel really sorry for is number 67 for Chip Ganassi team, because they were committed to making that emergency service right as the yellow flag came out. So they had to come in the pits. They lost the lead because of that. If we don't go any further, then how much of a heartbreaker is that going to be? Well, you know, Nasser made he made a mistake, but that would be really unfortunate for the Ford team.
Most of the time you leave these races sore, tired, and hurting, rarely happy.
Yes, indeed. Let's have your nominations for the Spirit of the Race Award. Use the hashtag DISSOTR at IMSA Radio, please. and everybody in the field has got some story to tell on this one, and this is going to be a tough call. Jeremy?
The marshals pulling those cars out of the quagmire down here, quite frankly. All day long. And hats off to all of these guys and gals who've been out there in just appalling conditions and dealing with, well, just about everything but the sun.
Well, yes, indeed. We had sunshine yesterday. Hard to believe that this is the same longitude, latitude, and even season than when we started this race in bright sunshine yesterday. Rivers of water coming down from the banking and running down the apron here. And let's give you a quick update. The Cadillac hourly update a little earlier, but this is how they stand at the moment under red flag. The second red flag of this 2019 IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship Open, at the 57th running of the Rolex 24 Daytona. Fernando Alonso and the rest of the Konica Minolta team lead in their number 10 Cadillac from the 31 Whelen Engineering team in second, and the 7 Acura team Penske Acura in third position. Like Duval brought the 54 Motorsport Nissan in fourth position to depart firming conditions on pit lane.
Engineering team in second,
with a few
and the 7 Acura team Penske Acura in third position.
Miller Motorsport, anybody who gets to the edge here just needs to survive his t-shirt, don't they? Sixth position on pit lane 2, Sebastian Severo. He's been off a couple of times as well, but still has managed to hold on to the lead, which he has by 6 laps over Cameron Castle in the performance test 38 car third in LMP2. Eric Hegman in the 81 car remains managed down, and I don't think that car is coming back to the solid challenge. May well have been able to qualify for potential. He doesn't be winning at the end of this race. In the top car, in 10th position overall, and so far in the lane when the red flag came out in the 25 will have landed last year in 10th position overall. Ferrari in second. In the lead when the red flag came out in the 25 Real Lanigan BMW M8 GTE Championship last year. James Calado for the competizione representing Ferrari in second. Daniel Rossi going to be in the English Planet Data was leading. Moments before the red flag came out, needed to go down into the lane on the yellow and take emergency service, which dropped him out of the lead. Only 3 cars on the lead lap in GT Le Mans. The results should have been called out. Probably quite a lot. I don't think that's going to save 67 cars. Looked at laps before that when he was in the lead. That time in GTD. From their review, the leader, Christian Engelhardt, number 11 Retransmisión Lamborghini, the pass on the yellow hanging on. That's been looked at and reviewed. Daniel Horad was leading that class in the 29 Audi. That's the multiply land car in second on the title scoring streak. Jeff Siegel is taking a short back a little bit as before he's coming back in third in the number 12. Position in the number 14. When was Richard Westbrook leading in the GT Le Mans category?
Before the first yellow came out, so not before the red came out.
Okay, right. Thank you, Jeremy. In the GT Le Mans category.
Guys, I gotta tell you, I enjoy coming up here and talking racing with you two more than anybody. There is nobody, and I guarantee you that the IMSA fans will agree. You guys are the best in the business. It is fun. I want to thank all the fans as I walk through, here at Daytona that said hi and said, we wish you were still in the car. Trust me, so do I. But I'm gonna head back down and to hang out with my Cadillac friends. Hope that things do end this way with Cadillac on top. But thank you guys so much to all the fans here. Get yourself to a Cadillac dealer. A test drive in a V doesn't cost anything. All right?
No, ultimately it does, because I will guarantee guarantee 99% of people who get into an ATSV or a CTSV, you will not want to drive anything else after it.
I got to tell you, the chief engineer, Brandon Vivian, you know, Tony Romo, all those guys, man, they build a serious hot rod. So anyway, thank you to all the fans. Thank you to you guys, and I'll look forward to seeing everybody at Sebring.
See you, man.
You know what? And let's hope this thing goes green again.
Johnny O'Connell's been brilliant. Nearly 3 hours stint there. That's a triple stint for J.O. Part of the Cadillac ambassadorial team, adding colour and humour and insight as well. Always enjoy working with Johnny. Well, Jeremy, heavens above. Heavens above. You writing a race report for this, bro? Always enjoy working. Bet you're pleased, Johnny.
Yep.
Bet you're pleased. Let's go down to the pit lane. We've been raving about 3 Formula 1 drivers at the front of the field. Alonso, Nasser and Rossi. There's another one in the field, of course, and that's Rubens Barrichello. And he is with Bruce Jones right now.
Rubens, we know we can't keep you away from racing cars, but on days like this, when in conditions like this, does it take the edge off it for you, or do you just want to get back out and carry on? Can't keep you away from racing cars.
I mean, I might sound crazy. My wife hates when I say that, but I actually do feel like I want to go back and race. But having said that, it's we gotta say that visibility it has been really bad. With visibility being the worst, you don't know where the puddles are, and then you aquaplane, and that's what is happening right now. Every time they send the cars out, I just call actually my wife and say, look, I'm going back to the car, and she said, I hope they throw the reds because it just looks too much. And I just called her and said, hey, your wish was you know, send it back, because right now it's impossible, especially at the bus stop. It's really a lot of water standing, and because you go into the apron and you have the lines and so on, it makes it very difficult. Although I love the wets, as you probably know and you remember, you know,
from long ago, Rubens.
I just love it. Even nowadays, I just love it, and I practice with my boys going to the track and slicks on wets and so on a wet track. But the way that it is right now, it's the best decision. We cannot race. We cannot put everyone in jeopardy. So make it safe.
No, and indeed, the pattern has been established to be yellow flag. We go green, immediately we get to yellow. So I think that probably tells the story, doesn't it, Rubens?
It does. And
no, and indeed, the pattern.
I wouldn't for now even put 5 minutes of racing right at the end, because you know, we could cause something very dramatic. Right now, it's not a wet track that it makes fun, that people like it or dislike. Right now, it's really difficult to see ahead. The washers doesn't keep up. It's fogging, so you enjoy less and less. But I think Daytona is just wonderful. So it's a pity that it gets this way, but some years it might do.
It might indeed. Good to speak to you, Rubens. Shay.
With Matt Campbell, and you were in the 73 Park Place Porsche when this red flag came out. What were the conditions like from your point of view? I mean, you're in a Porsche, so they have to be pretty good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like to say so, but I mean, I haven't driven in conditions like that in my entire life, so very treacherous and extremely difficult just to keep it on track at extremely low speeds. So we kept it on. Unfortunately, the red flag just came at the wrong time for us, and after our fueling pit stop. But hey, we're still in fight. We're still on lead lap, and we'll just have to wait and see what this weather does now.
It's very unstable weather, much like where both of us will be next week at this time at Mount Panorama. How do you mentally go from a place that's cold and rainy to a place that's hot and hopefully dry?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit easy for myself. Obviously, that's, you know, home race for myself. It's the only one I get to do nowadays, and it's my favourite racetrack in the entire world. So I find it very enjoyable, and you know, it's my first experience at Daytona 24, and you know, I'm really loving it. But looking forward to the next weekend for sure.
Good luck here. Good luck next week.
Thank you. Cheers.
With the Matt Campbell fan club in the background there. Amy, thank you very much for tweeting in at IMSA Radio using the hashtag IMSA50. Ford Performance, with 2 hours to remain, tweeted out, we just went yellow. The number 67 has held the lead, but will be pitting shortly as part of an alternative strategy. The repaired 6611 that down. So it wasn't emergency service for the number 67. So they came in on an alternative strategy by their own tweet at 2 hours to go as that yellow came out. So they must have waited until the pits opened.
What's odd about that is that they had the. I think the red was out, and they had the opportunity not to come down pit lane.
The yellow was out.
The yellow was out, I think. Yeah, they came into, I think, a closed pit. I think the red was out, and they had the opportunity not to come down maybe not.
The yellow was out.
It certainly looked that way from here, but perhaps he was past the commitment line.
12:39 was when the red flag went out. It's 12:55 now. Do the arithmetic yourself. We had 90 minutes under red flag conditions this morning when the red flag came out for weather at 22 minutes past 7 this morning Eastern time. Let's have your nominations for Spirit of the Race and also your questions for Michelin Post Race Tech. Use the hashtag Michelin PRT, Michelin PRT for Post Race Tech, and let's have them in to @IMSA Radio, please. Jeremy and I and the rest of the team, a bit of an old skate after the checkered flag, and we'll be answering your questions, points arising, and maybe anything that you've noticed as we round up the weekend with the chat show that you decide the agenda for. You set the editorial content. Guide us, please, through Michelin Post Race Tech coming up after the checkered flag, and we've heard from the winning teams and drivers. Well, the rain is teeming down again, and once again the big wet puddles on the infield give the evidence of just how much water is falling. Just looking around the circuit, there's at the moment no sign of any of the track services vehicles out doing any sweeping as yet. I think they must be waiting until the rain eases off just a little bit. No choice, Jeremy, with the visibility issues that were out there for another red flag to be thrown. Just a little bit. Race control gave every opportunity, and indeed when we went green to start with, yes, it was a bit wet, but it dried up after 3 or 4 laps, and the lap times were coming down at the front of the field. What a battle though between Felipe Nasser and Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, fantastic. No question, the last particularly the last 4 or 5 laps before the yellow came out there was pretty much on the edge, I would say. When even Fernando Alonso can't get around here in under 2 minutes on wet weather tyres. Yeah, that's 10-12 seconds off what he was doing on wets in pretty wet conditions, let alone massively monsoon conditions like we had there. So no question this was the right decision, and it is going to be awfully difficult, I fear, to get this race back underway again. But
there was a window. There was a window of opportunity. It was taken, and I think it worked. The rain had pretty much stopped. There's an awful lot of green and horrible colours on the weather radar that I can see off to my right. The question now will be, how long do you wait to make the decision? And that's not within our gift, and neither is it up to us to speculate. We'll leave that firmly in the hands of the decision makers to our left. We did see the race control staff, the senior race control staff, out on the track reviewing conditions. I don't even think there's any point in them doing that at the moment, to be quite honest. We'll keep an eye on what's going on next door and on the track as we pick up a little more from down in the pit lane. Christian Fittipaldi, in his last professional race, is down on the pit lane with Bruce Jones.
Christian, it was very emotional when you had your farewell party a few nights ago. You didn't know it was going to happen. So many stories, so many people to say thank you to, and so many memories from across the decades. I think we met close on 30 years ago when you came to the UK to race in Formula 3. Perhaps not the sunny end to your career you were looking for, and it's been quite a tough race for the number 5.
Is that true 30 years ago?
No, it wasn't. I think it was 1990, wasn't it? Philishave, perhaps not the sunny Reynard, Dick Bennett. You have the route. Oh,
yeah. Now, definitely part of my learning curve, racing over there. British Formula 3 is or was in those days, like, incredibly competitive. But as you mentioned, it's not the end of the race that we were all expecting, but it went the way it went. Like I can't summarize 38 years of my life in 24 hours. Unfortunately, the cookie didn't crumble our way this year, and now we need to come back next year. Obviously, not with me driving the car, and see what we can get out of it. But there's still a lot of racing ahead of us. The 10 and the 31 are like really going for it, and they're making it really exciting. Awesome driving from Fernando, awesome driving from Nasser also, and if the rain could let off a little bit, maybe we could get going again, because it would be awesome to see those two go all the way to the end.
But if it does go, if we do go green again, are you going to have one more spell in the car?
Thank you. No.
No. Oh, well, there we are. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you should put your hands together for a man who's done fabulous things in the sport, for Christian Fittipaldi. Up to you, John.
Absolutely right. More than a golf clapper. Life lived in motorsport, as I said when we did the interview with him for our Long One series. He was very generous with his time over at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca last year, as the news was breaking about his decision to leave professional racing at the end of this race. One more go at the great race, and he said in that interview, Jeremy, that it wasn't about winning the race, it was just about doing some more laps here because the place is so special.
Yeah, I mean, this place does mean a lot to him. He's won the race 3 times, including last year. Knew he had a good shot at repeating and getting a 4th Rolex watch. So, to have some things happened that were pretty much out of his control. It's really disappointing, but he's been around racing long enough to know that things like this can happen. And as far as his team is concerned, and he's not going away from motor racing. He's staying involved with the Action Express team as a consultant, and so he's going to be pleased at least that both of their cars are most likely going to finish in the top half dozen positions or so. So he's going to top 7, I guess. That's better than it could be a lot worse than that. Most likely going to finish.
Far fewer cars in Parc Fermé now than there were this morning when we threw the first of the 2 red flags that we've had today. And if we look at the bottom end of the timing screen, that tells the tale of war. The number 99 Porsche that had a lot of issues and eventually was retired. Mazda number 77 and 55 both going out. 77 with an internal engine issue, 55 retired as well after that incident this morning. Some of the cars that we haven't seen very much of since accidents and incidents. The Ferrari number 51, the Paul Dall'Anna car, the 71 Mercedes. That car has been out of action for quite some time. Lamborghini Huracan number 47 seems to have been right in the centre of all kinds of bits and pieces, but I think that car is actually still running. Second in line on the pit lane, I've been told by Shea Adam. Of all kinds of bits and pieces. 540, that was the Black Swan car. I've been told by Shea Adam. Car's had its issues as well.
Yeah, particularly the last several hours.
Yeah, absolutely. The 52 Orica caught up in someone else's accident for Gabriel Aubry, and that car ripped off a wheel. Issues as well. Christopher Haase spinning a couple of times after being well up inside the top 10 in that Starworks car to run on or around the lead lap for pretty much 22 hours. But then all of a sudden, again, caught out by bad weather. And the list of drivers who have been caught out there, Johnny Palmer, reads like a who's who of sports car racing talent. It wasn't the bronze and silver drivers that were only being caught out. Everyone was struggling in those conditions. No choice but the red flag.
I don't think anybody can be invincible in these conditions. As much as they've had mileage and time behind their relevant manufacturing cars, you can have Lamborghini and Audi specialists and those driving Ferraris for decades, but
sometimes the science just takes over, and if the grip isn't there, if the car gets up on the top of the wake and aquaplanes, you are just a passenger. And yeah, just watching a few booths down, just grabbing a little bit of lunch. I had a good view of various spins, and like you say, it was a who's who of sort of graveyard of cars.
Where were you looking? Everywhere.
Pretty much, yeah. To my left, to my right. I mean, thankfully you guys were pointing out the next incident, but they were overlapping at times, weren't they? You know, there was a car on the back straight, there was a car at turn one, and somehow they, well, almost all avoided one another. There was a little bit of contact, I know, as a result of cars braking at the usual point, like a lap ago. That was a perfectly fine braking point, and then you get there literally 2 minutes later, and there's no chance.
I thought actually what Johnny O'Connell said, an awful lot of what Johnny O'Connell said was worth listening to, but particularly one of the things that was interesting was, you know, it's like being a rally driver. Normally, in a racing car on a track, everything else being equal, note I said that, if you do the same thing at the same point of the
permisividad a la hora de contactos, es aquello de que se tienen que dar de tortas en pista. Sí, está definido como un deporte de contacto en los Estados Unidos, NASCAR. Bueno, está a veces contacto literal fuera de la pista, carne con carne. Me acordaré de Tony Stewart lanzándole el casco, creo que era Matt Kenseth en Bristol, una de ellas, porque ha habido unas cuantas, aquello de también Jeff Gordon yendo a perseguir a Brad Keselowski, después un incidente en Texas que se volvió... Bueno, a mí lo que me hace es cuando se meten los familiares, las mujeres, entonces aquello ya... Sí, han habido algunos casos, sí. Hubo una ocasión, creo que fue en el canal de... La mujer del piloto que fue a atizarle a otro rival. Y le dio con la mano abierta, que esas cosas, le dio con la mano abierta. Cosas de la pasión, ¿no? Como viven las carreras, y en este caso creo que era carrera de camionetas en Mosport. Imagínate. Mosport, que es un circuito canadiense, ¿albergó Fórmula 1? No, fue Mosport y Mont-Tremblant, ¿verdad? Sí, no, Mosport. Mont-Tremblant no sé si llegó a... Mosport seguro. Durante muchos años fue el Gran Premio de Canadá, los años 60, 70, yo diría. Bueno, y dan vueltas por las redes sociales esas imágenes que también ha compartido Pin Connect de lo que fue, sobre todo ese momento límite de Alonso, ¿no? Cuando se chocó el coche de Saavedra del MP2 contra la barrera de neumáticos. Alonso se iba ancho y pasaba justo por el lado del coche del piloto colombiano. Exacto, ahí en el límite Alonso, pero logró salvarlo, ¿no? Bueno, todos víctimas de las condiciones precarias de agarre, de visibilidad, etcétera, pero que allí ha tenido la suerte también un poco Alonso, porque en esos momentos cuenta la habilidad, pero siempre cuenta un poquito también la suerte, y allí ha estado todo con el español para lograr mantener su auto vivo, sin toques, y en ese momento liderando la carrera a espera de lo que decía la dirección, en qué momento reiniciar. Seguramente que van a volver a rodar los coches, ¿no? El tema es si tendremos condiciones suficientemente buenas para que tengamos de nuevo bandera verde. No pareciera estar lloviendo tan fuerte como minutos atrás, pero necesitamos que los coches vuelvan a la pista para que realmente mejore la condición de la misma. No sé si vosotros por el sonido ambiente escucháis la lluvia. Sí. Eso significa que cae con ganas. No sé si alguien se habrá traído el bañador, pero me parece que la piscina de Daytona está lista, y no es precisamente el lago que está detrás. Aquí en Daytona, además de carreras de coches, hay carreras de motos, que es la AMA 200. Antes se usaban las 4 curvas del óvalo, ahora tan solo se usan las últimas. O sea, motocicletas, motos potentes en un peralte. Desafía a la lógica física que tenemos en mente, y son divertidísimas y peligrosas, especialmente en la zona del trióvalo, porque una caída ahí significa que te vas directamente contra el Safer Barrier, que es la protección que hay en la gran mayoría de óvalos estadounidenses, ¿no? Es un invento de la Universidad de Michigan que ha servido para salvar muchas vidas. Antes era muro de cementos puro y duro, y si había un golpe directo contra él, pues solías acabar con lesiones de cierta importancia debido a la
oficialmente en la clínica Halifax, que está justo cruzando la calle principal que está al respaldo de esa tribuna principal, donde bueno también donde llegan obviamente los pilotos con lesiones importantes de una carrera aquí en Daytona, donde estuvo Memo Gidley también y donde fue atendido después de ese desafortunado accidente 5 años atrás. Recordaba Raymond hace un momento el impasse que tuvo Jordan Taylor con este Audi, que se encontraron casi cara a cara, ¿no? Lo conducía en ese momento Spencer Pumpelly y a través de su cuenta de Twitter dice: hey Jordan Taylor, lo siento, el spotter me dijo viene por fuera, indicándole que venía a adelantarle por fuera el líder de carrera, así que me moví a la izquierda y me fui encima de un charco, perdí el control. Así que
quiso hacerlo bien, quiso no molestar al DPI y casi le echó fuera de carrera.
Casi sale mal. Sí. Claro, que es el problema para estos coches de la categoría GT, que son los más lentos y que aquí pues tienen que ir corriendo entre ellos y al mismo tiempo sortear el tráfico, no entorpecer el ritmo de los coches mayores. Pero normalmente el tema es, no te muevas, ve por donde vas y que de atrás busque por dónde pasar. Cuando intentan hacer eso es que se encuentran con ese tipo de situaciones, más cuando la pista está cambiando vuelta a vuelta.
En estas categorías que hay de resistencia, sobre todo, que hay varios niveles de autos, aparte de la categoría principal, de la más rápida, que solamente se tienen que preocupar de esquivar coches, por decirlo así, y de ir rápido, los demás es muy estresante para los pilotos, porque tienen que estar yendo rápido, intentar sacar tiempos, intentar competir con los rivales, que ya se ve que están siempre muchos en poco tiempo, y además estar pendientes todo el rato de los retrovisores de los coches que vienen muchísimo más rápido, además, que vienen con un diferencial de velocidad enorme. Y se ha visto, aquí se ve que como pasa, que parece que estén volando, ¿no? Es complicado. Y hay gente que no, a mí me consta de pilotos que no lo han soportado, simplemente que han dicho: oye, a mí me gusta mucho conducir estos coches, me gusta mucho competir, pero en una carrerita de sprint, de estas de el MP3, Michelin Cup, una cosa así, está bien, pero yo meterme estas de semi-resistencia que se llaman, ¿no? Que son 2 pilotos y son un par de bonitos ratos a pendiente de que no me den por detrás, pues no, o no estropearle, o no arruinarle la carrera a nadie. Entonces,
ha ocurrido, viendo un poco el radar del tiempo que tiene aquí Santi Torres, ha ocurrido que la celebración que usualmente se hace allí, ahí ven donde dice Daytona International Speedway, y justo abajo ese es Víctor Ilerina, ahí es donde llega el coche ganador, entra por detrás del muro del pit, se estaciona allí llegan los
Mate, lead at any point other than this.
Your adage is you only have to lead.
Mate, lead at any point other than this.
Your adage is you only have to lead.
Mate, lead at any point other than this.
Your adage is you only have to lead.
In the horrendous Mate, lead at any point other than this. with the, you know, that the level of water out there, because it's slightly better balanced.
What about GT Daytona? I mean, that was extraordinary. We had a message on the screen that the 11 Lamborghini was being investigated for. What about GT Daytona? I mean, that was extraordinary. We had a message on the screen that the 11 anything about that yet. I'll try and check that now. But that seemed to be a class that nobody wanted to stay at the head of at one stage.
And we did say it was
and we went back to the lead. I gotta give big kudos to the whole Dragon Speed Motorsports for putting the car together and giving us a chance to be in front. But these past two stints,
mentions, retweets on Twitter as a result of that.
From IMSA, officially from IMSA, race control working on getting the track back in a raceable condition and reviewing position.
y el óvalo lo siguen usando, y es que es alucinante ver cómo las motos pasan por el peralte. Y además hay carrera de supercross. Aquí en el trióvalo también montan un estadio de supercross, como un estadio en Anaheim o las típicas carreras de supercross, pues aquí se hace en este trióvalo que tenemos en pantalla. Y ha habido ocasiones en las que el barro, precisamente como hoy, ha hecho acto de presencia, pero de forma masiva. Y es el supercross americano, también una de las categorías más famosas a nivel internacional, en este caso dentro del mundo de las dos ruedas. Y seguimos esperando a una decisión de dirección de carrera.
¿Cuánto llevamos de bandera roja?
Unos cuantos minutos.
Mira, ya ha informado Race Control que están trabajando para intentar tener de nuevo las condiciones para reiniciar la carrera sobre las 2 de la tarde. Estarían dando nuevamente información. Esto sería ya hablando de la última media hora de carrera. Es el objetivo, pero bueno, claro, no se ve fácil, ¿no? Estamos ya cerca de hora y cuarto de que se cumpla el tiempo, las 24 horas. Son allí la 1:21 de la tarde en Daytona. Así que en unos 40 minutos es cuando se plantean la posibilidad, ya se escucha en el sonido de ambiente que encienden los jet dryers. No estaban encendidos previamente, ya encienden las turbinas para buscar secar la pista. Y entonces tendríamos, ojalá, actividad de nuevo en pista sobre las 2 de la tarde. Es cuando estarían actualizando sobre las 2 de la tarde, no cuando están planteando reiniciar la carrera. Es decir, que en 40 minutos habrá la próxima información de parte del control de carrera en torno a cuál es el destino del desenlace de esta edición 57 de las 24 horas.
Lo hacen para ir un poquito sobre seguro, ¿no? Van a tener todos los resultados y en caso de que vean que el radar no va a mejorar, pues podrán dar la carrera por terminada y dar directamente ya los resultados para que obviamente patrocinadores, televisiones y demás tengan la opción de mostrar al ganador de estas 24 horas de Daytona del año 2019, que más 24 horas han sido unas 20 horas, contando los parones por estas tormentas, pero oye, son cosas de las carreras y de lo que pueda ocurrir. Vamos a actualizar tal como está en el timing. Eso no significa que sean resultados oficiales. Sería ganador de la prueba Fernando Alonso en el Cadillac número 10 con Jordan Taylor, Kamui Kobayashi y Renger van der Zande de compañeros, seguidos del coche número 31 de Felipe Nasser. También tenemos de por medio en ese 31 a Eric Curran y a Luis Felipe Drani, o Pipo Drani como le conocen.